What's up, my friends? How you doing? Wizards put out the first installment of the Aether Drift story, and we are here to discuss its significant shortcomings would be the nice way to put it. All right? So, yeah, we're going to we're going to have ourselves a talk about, honestly, when I told Carly some of the stuff, she just kind of shook her head in disbelief. So let me grab the live stream link. We'll pop that into the Discord, and then we're going to have ourselves a nice little chat about the current state of Magic the Gathering lore, because I almost don't even know what to do in this situation. As somebody who covers Magic lore and has like a lore channel that primarily covers Magic lore, especially the most recent stuff. I did something on Avishkar because I was like, well, that's a video subject that we can discuss something that's changing there. That's all right. And then now I'm at an interesting point. All right, that's how I'll put it. So let me grab a sip of my tea here, and then we will say our hellos, and then we'll have ourselves a chat about Aetherdrift's magical lore. It's going to be a bit jarring for anybody who's used to more traditional Magic lore. All right, so let's see, what do we got here? This is good. All right, everything's good. So, hellos are in order. What up, Eng, Jess, Kenzagi, Millmaster, Man, Gossett, Yamagoro, Zircon, Spurl, Kenny, Jojo, Shelton, Zach, Gianna, Cosmo, Bo Falcon, Error, Nerdvana, Harley, Potts, Loco, Everyday, and Mountain Jam. I think I got everybody. So, hello guys. Hope you're doing well. Some of the comments that are already in here. Can we just skip to Tarkir Dragonstorm? I can't wait for April. I'll also hype for Final Fantasy. Well, see, you got some stuff to look forward to. Bo Falcon just popping in for a second. All right, buddy. Aether Drift will be great. Don't worry about it. Sit back and enjoy the ride. All right, Error, there's your quote for all eternity. So what else do we have going on here? Bad episodes of Wacky Races. Potts, you can't wait to hear about the mess. Loco sipping Kool-Aid. It's Earl Grey tea. It's Earl Grey tea. Picked up some nice Earl Grey cream tea, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So, I thought that would be a nice classy counterpoint to the gutter trash that is the current state of the Magic story. What up, Gally? You started playing Grand Archive because I mentioned it. Oh, you're welcome. Glad you're having fun with it. So, guys, today, the first installment of the Aether Drift story dropped. And I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, right? Obviously, I'm hesitant because I like normal swords and sorcery style fantasy. So, the Aether Drift story is there's a big Grand Prix race that goes across 3 different planes, right? So you've got Kaladesh, which is now known as Avishkar. You've got Amonkhet, and you've got Muruganda. Muruganda is going to be the least impactful of the 3 worlds because it's just a plane of vanilla creatures. There's not it's a very primitive world, not much in the way of civilization, and so it's a great place for wild animals and vanilla creatures, but that does not inform much of the set as far as I understand. So it's going to predominantly revolve around Amonkhet and Kaladesh, Avishkar, whichever name you prefer. I don't care. They're interchangeable. So the idea is it's a Grand Prix race that's going to go across these 3 planes, and it's going to involve 10 different racing factions. So each of the 2 different colors, all these different variants, kind of same deal as the guilds of Ravnica in terms of we're going to have a bunch of groups. And so the idea is everybody's racing to win the Aether Spark. The Aether Spark being a magical object that allows its bearer to traverse the planes as if they were a planeswalker. Quill, Kaladesh is called what? Avishkar. They, you know what? Actually, I literally went to the trouble of making a video explaining the change. So I suppose the simplest thing to do in this circumstance is to literally grab that video. Greedy! Hey, I know that voice. Grab that video, and I will pop it right here into the live stream for you. So it's not very long. I didn't go on a big overlong explanation. It's less than 10 minutes. And this video will explain to you how Kaladesh became Avishkar, which, by the way, is the name of the video on Fantasy Geographic. How Kaladesh became Avishkar. Because Wizards just threw that in for this particular set. So that's but that's going to be it going forwards. What up, Break Stop? And it is very briefly touched upon in the actual story that started. So the stuff that I already know and that I've been telling you is based on the Planeswalker's Guide to Aether Drift, which is a strange thing to say because a Planeswalker's Guide would be like a Planeswalker's Guide to Zendikar. Aether Drift is just a name that we in the human world give to the setting that this whole race setup is taking place in. So Aether Drift isn't something that a Planeswalker could have a guide to. Nobody refers to the overall race as Aether Drift. Like, that's just a purely, we use that term. So the Planeswalker's Guide to Aether Drift is a very nonsensical term, actually, but whatever. That doesn't really matter. That's getting pedantic, right? That's not a major gripe that I have. It's just something that I noticed and went, this is weird. So yeah, the story was confusing to me, where basically elements contradicted each other. So the beginning of it had potential in terms of, it's not like every single element was garbage, but the idea is we kind of get a window into the creation of the Aether Spark that was created by the sacrifice of this chick who saw into the future, saw into different worlds, saw the Phyrexian invasion and everything like that. So turned herself into the Aether Spark. I honestly have to read the story a second time to retain some of the other aspects of the story, because there were just certain things about everything that I read that stuck out in my mind so much more that some of the specifics. But either way, the idea is that you have this woman at the beginning of the story who sacrifices herself to create the Aether Spark, which will let people planeswalk, which is a cool concept. Similar to things we've seen in the past, like Venser sacrificing his Planeswalker Spark for Karn. So there is some level of precedence already in the Magic lore for this kind of concept, and it totally could work if they had everything else kind of if everything else was just kind of done better overall, then this premise wouldn't feel like it's kind of wasted, because you sacrifice yourself to get put into a Planeswalker Spark for when the future needs it, and then it's like, we're using it as a race car prize. Oh, okay. But putting that aside, so the first chunk of the story talks about this chick giving up her life to create the Aether Spark. And up until that point, I didn't really feel like we had any major problems. I didn't feel super engaged with it. And I think part of that is the fact that the Phyrexian invasion itself, when we saw it, didn't really it didn't really feel like we got to see it hit a bunch of different planes and really feel it overall. So when they talk about battling the Phyrexians on planes and things like that, it doesn't land that heavily, but that's kind of a minor quibble. So the first part of the story on its own was everything was okay for that part. And then we move forwards from then. So the sacrifice of this planeswalker to make this spark. And then we move forward into our current era, and that's where things start to just really go sideways. Christ Super Chat says, not surprised Wizard celebrates a color revolution. Well, they spend all their time dividing them into different groups, bro. So, I mean, that's what happens, right? We're going to put the green ones over here. So, like I was saying, the very first initial part isn't too bad. It doesn't grip you. You're not like, wow, this is amazing. But you're not also like, okay, this is dumb. So then we switch to like current right now on Kaladesh Vishkar. And we're following, what is her name? Her name is Sita Varma, something like that. I know her first name's Sita. I don't remember her last name. So Sita is the daughter of a nobleman. She's the daughter of a house, like a noble house, and she likes to go out and race. So she sneaks out of her house to race and sneaks back in. So the story starts with her sneaking back into her house, or having just snuck back in, right? And it talks about how much easier it is for her to creep around and not get caught because they don't have servants anymore. It literally says, because we don't have servants anymore, it's easier to sneak in and out. And so in the next paragraph and a half, she's now talking to her father, who's all like, do you have the window open? You smell like Aether fumes. It's like, you smell like gasoline. And so she just talks about being like, oh, why weren't you where you're supposed to? Did you get up late or something? And then it talks about analog and digital clocks. And she's like, my father thinks the best clock is an analog clock. And he said so. He said, servants make better clocks. Why don't you use one of them? And then she just thinks to herself how, oh, well, now he has to pay the servants and he doesn't like that. And I'm just sitting there going, but just above, you said that it's easy to sneak in and out of the house because there aren't servants anymore. And now you're saying that there are servants, because it's the exact same word. I'm not even changing it like they had one word for servants and change it to a different word. They just say servants. And you just go, but you just said servants aren't a thing anymore. And you said that your dad's mad that he has to pay them. So are you telling me that the Kaladesh that Wizards created had slavery? And these people were slaves until now? And your dad's mad that they're not slaves anymore? So Kaladesh had fucking slavery. So there's multiple levels of confusion. Bitch, you said there's no servants. You literally just said there's an absence of servants, and then you said, then me and my dad talked about the servants, and I'm like, I don't want to use a servant, and he's upset he has to pay for servants now, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, but you said there were no huckleberries anywhere. So anyways, she laid down in a pile of huckleberries that were right there. What? So that's how it started. I just went, oh, does nobody read these? Does nobody in the company actually read them with a brain? And it's just like, servants you paid are called employees. Servants are servants. You can you can pay servants. Paid to be a servant. That's a perfectly normal thing. You don't have to change the name to employees or whatever. But it was just this insane, she could go in and out with no problem because there were no servants. And then a paragraph later about the servants. And it's like, I can kind of forgive the author purely from the perspective of when you write something yourself, sometimes the flaws that you've written in there that should be screamingly obvious, You don't catch them because you wrote them. So it makes sense to your brain and it doesn't jump out. But anybody with the brain reading that should just be like, you said there's no servants. And now you said there are servants. And the way that you're talking literally makes it sound like there was slavery on Kaladesh. But that was never mentioned anywhere. Like, what? What is going on? What is even going on now? So Sita goes and hangs out with Pia Nalar in the garage so they can work on cars or something. And then, oh God, man, how far we've fallen. So Chandra Nalar is going to be in this race. And so the story talks about how good Chandra Nalar is under pressure. But although Chandra's dealt with a lot of things, do you know what she doesn't have a lot of experience dealing with, guys? The paparazzi. This is Magic the Gathering, right? Right? So Chandra wasn't ready for the paparazzi. Chandra wasn't ready for the paparazzi who were coming to interview her. So she's talking to the paparazzi and they're asking her like little quippy questions like blah, blah, blah. And so Chandra, Nirvana's like, wait, that's real? That's real? Yeah. I'm not making this up. I know, listen. I know that what I'm about to say, like, I know I say a lot of crazy stuff. I know I say a lot of redonkulous stuff, but understand what I'm telling you is the story. I'm not making this part up. So the story tells us that Chandra's handled a lot of things, but she's not skilled at handling the paparazzi. So they're giving her like she's firing little quips back to them about things. And then she goes, I know that you guys are worried that I'm not going to drive fast enough, but you don't need to worry because my dad drove fast all the time. He had a whole bunch of speeding tickets and he got a lot of them when I was sitting in his lap. And it's like, Chandra, your dad used to speed and got speeding tickets. Oh, Magic the Gathering. Oh, speeding tickets. You sat on his lap. Like, it felt like it's almost like fucking Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last. Like, my daddy got all kinds of speeding tickets with me on his lap. And I'm just like, oh God. And then they're like, Chandra, what about the rumors that you're just doing this so that you can get the spark to travel with Nissa? And then Chandra's like, oh, I can't handle this. And her fucking drink starts boiling in her hand, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, ah, and like runs away from the paparazzi. And then it cuts over to Winter. You know Winter, the guy from, Winter, the dude from Duskmorn? He's there too. And there's demons. And the demons say to Winter, you better win the race or the house owns you forever. And then it fucking ends, man. And then it ends, bro. like, my dad got speeding tickets. I read speeding tickets and I just went, oh, I'm fucked. Like, what am I going to do with this? I can't even. I literally said to myself, and I'm going to go back and read it again tomorrow, but I said to myself after I read it, I'm like, I can't make lore videos on this. This is horseshit. This is like there's going to be 10 different groups. And like, bro, Chandra talking to the paparazzi and telling him her dad got speeding tickets. I'm like, I feel like my brain is being bleached. I feel like my brain is being fucked by a skunk dick. What's happening right now? Am I having a stroke? Is this what happens when the world doesn't make sense anymore? Like, have I just completely lost my mind? This is a magic story that I'm reading, right? And then Winter was there. Oh, okay. And the demon said, you better win the race or the house owns you. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, don't you remember Valgavoth, that house of horror? Yeah. Well, it found out about Omen Pass. Okay. And then it found out about this race and was like, I want to win the race. Okay. What? Yeah, we're gonna get the spark for the house, and then the house that's the entire plane can travel to another plane. Like, imagine if Ravnica could planeswalk to Dominaria. What the fuck is even happening? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh God. So yeah, I looked at it and went, what? I gotta make lore videos out of this? What am I supposed to even say? The only thing I can think of is that maybe if I like read every single bit of the story, that I can cobble together enough to like, what the fuck am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? Oh, Urza battled against Phyrexia. Greetings, lovers of lore. So, Chandra went into the fucking Valvoline place to pick up some oil, right? And then she got like one of those little hula ladies you hang from the dashboard, right? And then she fucking grabbed out the GPS programmer and stuff. What? What? And Urtai was there, but now he's like a squeegee homeless guy, and he's all like, "Can I have a quarter?" And Elspeth's like, "No, what can a quarter get you? Nothing, motherfucker." And then Urtai's like, "Oh, fuck you," and he spits on her windshield, so now she can't see that well. She gets a -1 to her fucking driving tokens. Oh, Lord. So they released 2 different stories today. They released the abysmal main story, and then a side story about Basri Ket that I don't know if I was just so overshadowed by how bad the original story was. The Basri Ket story just felt forgettable. I retained, I feel like, nothing from it at all, but it wasn't screamingly bad. Like a whole bunch of elements of the story. The paparazzi, my dad got speeding tickets. Harley, wishful thinking, reading the lore explains the lore, but not in this case. Nope. Nope. Question the wisdom of having a leg of the race go across a world where death guarantees undeath. What's even the point? They're like, well, the race helps Avishkar spread its political influence throughout the multiverse. Okay. All right, then. Callie, you're glad you're not as deep into the lore as me, so you're immune to this pain. It sucks, man. It sucks. It's like the clown car, except an entire set of it. Endless clown shoes. The story feels almost like a parody. I know, right? Honestly, like, it's getting so dumb. Me and Carly went to the mall today, and we went to a place called Spencer's, which it's akin to like a Hot Topic, if you know what that is or whatever, where they just sell a bunch of random crap, like, hey, t-shirts with like The Simpsons and all kinds of different shows, everything imaginable. It's all just, remember this? It's all just a reference to, it just referenced the store. It is referenced the store. Me and Carly were walking through, and I was just looking at it. I'm like, it's all just stuff. There's nothing here that I'd even want to own, really. And she's like, I think I'm too old for this stuff. And I'm like, it's all just meaningless. That's why. If there's something from a property that you really, really love and you see it, maybe then you're going to be like, yeah, I want it. But ultimately, this place is just reference. Hey, I know that thing. And that's what Magic the Gathering is turning itself into. It's ridiculous. They must think they can excuse anything because everything is Magic. Listen, it's not like they fucking, I don't know, painted an engine in backwards in a piece of artwork or anything like that, and they're going to have to say, oh, it drives because it's Magic. They definitely haven't released a piece of artwork that has an engine in the vehicle backwards or anything. That's definitely not down on my list of things to talk about in an upcoming video. Quill, you know, though, man, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. Like, the going through Omen Paths versus having your own Planeswalker Spark is you can go through pre-existing doorways versus you can create a doorway to anywhere you want, anytime you want. It's a considerable power jump. It's not, it doesn't feel the same. Honestly, a Planeswalker Spark like this. Oh, wait, did they call it an artificial Planeswalker Spark? So, I don't know. Maybe, I think the chick who made it had to be a Planeswalker, but who knows? Who knows? Either way, it feels like it's so powerful that it doesn't even make sense that it's a reward for the race. You know what I mean? It like, hey, if we give this away, we can like use this to extend our political influence in the multiverse with this race. If you have an item that can make anybody a fucking planeswalker, you can give like you can hand it around to whoever your most gifted spies are and things like that, and you can literally have massive influence on all kinds of different worlds that you can travel to. It's absolutely insane to give away such a powerful diplomatic tool when your goal is to fucking extend your political reach. It's crackheaded nonsense for it to be the prize, as far as I'm concerned. But I was willing to let that part go. Because whatever. Okay, you want to have a big, cool magic item you can win as part of the fucking prize or whatever. That makes sense, right? The mistake is assuming the writers will be smart enough to represent the considerable power difference. Fair enough. Hanna-Barbera's Space Race. Oh, that's later. That's later this year. So yeah, the lore is it's in free fall. It's in free fall. When's the Olympics parody set? They're not going to do that. They're trying to appeal to kids. Right? They're trying to appeal to younger people too. They're just trying anything right now cuz they're desperate. They are desperate. Their average player is like 30 years or older. Their player base is aging out. And understand, this is Hasbro looking at Magic Thing. Hasbro is a toy company. They want to sell toys. And when it's like, we only have a few toys that are selling. Really? Yeah, Magic the Gathering's one of them. Really? Okay, what's our demographic? 30-year-olds? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know? And that's the youngest? Oh, God. What happens if Loot shows up and eats the Aether Spark at the last minute, becomes a Planeswalker? For all we know, Winter's going to have Loot with him as a guidance system. Millmaster, oh yeah, bro. Writers, marketing, the people making the cards and stuff, they obviously don't communicate. That has been steadily apparent to us through many sets. Things like the Brothers' War. The trailer, the cards, the written story, none of it lines up. They all just run in different directions, doing whatever. And if changes are made later on, other groups aren't included or changes just can't be made. That's why you end up with a bunch of trailers that did not match up with what they were telling us was going on. And it's like, what's this? And it's like, well, this is actually the original idea we're going with, but we changed it later into something worse. SpongeBob wins the race. Quill, you're gonna bet $50 that $50 the Aether Spark ends up with Bolas. All right, noted. Christ, yeah, that's not gonna be happening anytime soon, buddy. Ryan, dumbing the game down is not a good choice. It's not a good choice. Go through, yeah, they failed to establish their actual IP as anything, which is kind of ridiculous considering how awesome Magic is, you know? You've established D&D as a thing. A ton of people know what Dungeons and Dragons is, even if they don't play it, right? Magic the Gathering? Nope. Nerdvana, when it comes to anybody in that mid-level, Rosewater, Gavin, or whatever, no matter how passionate they are about their opinions or no matter what it is they want in the game, they're not going to get it. They get their marching orders from people who only care about how much money the company is churning out this quarter. That's it. So all the decisions are just like short term. How do we get our money? You do this. They can come up with all kinds of ideas. They'll get shot down for not being profitable. And they'll just look and go, okay, what makes us more money? We're doing that. We're doing that. We're doing that. So these guys are mid-tier, making the game pieces, but have no control over anything. No real influence in the company. Larry, you think Chandra would cheat to win the Aether Spark? Listen, would the girl who sat on her father's lap getting a bunch of speeding tickets cheat, bro? Millmaster, you read an article that was saying 2024 is the year more products in the toys and games category are brought for adults. Only 49% of toys and games are purchased for the young. A lot of toys are stupid, cheap garbage, right? Like, let's be very real. I loved toys as a kid, and I still enjoy toys, but toys are just chunks of crap that mostly end up going to a landfill. A lot of the times they're just, it's plastic. Look, it's arm moves like this. Compared to what you can do with digital stuff now, it looks cooler to them. They don't give a fuck about the physical world in the same way on a lot of levels. It's not like they're just, I want to be a digital spirit, but for real. Like, a lot of toys are shit. So I'm not surprised that it's like they're only for half kids now, Half for kids, I should say. Cell phones aren't in the toys category. Yeah, cell phones aren't toys. Cell phones are fucking computers. They're computers that you can wander around and you can use as a phone as well. That's how when I think of a cell phone now, I don't really think of it for phone calls. You can do that with it, but that's like the least of its function. I'm not going to spend hours on a fucking phone call anymore, bro. Yeah, Misanthrope, they're going with like collectibles marketing 100%. Benny, yep, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Fast and Furious tie-in with this. It feels like a very obvious choice. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, how's a hunk of plastic going to appeal on the same level as it used to? Nirvana, that's right. At the end of the day, that's the same thing that's going on with fucking Hasbro. They don't care about the end product quality. They only care about the money they're getting from it. What up, Hugh? How you doing, buddy? Uber, when do we get a Vin Diesel card? We'll find out in like the next 2 months, basically, because Aether Drift is going to come out in about a month. And if they have any of those secret layer concepts lined up, we'll hear about them within a month of Aether Drift's release because we're getting a new set every 2 months. So keep it flowing, keep it going. People are getting dumber and dumber people prefer cheap products and short media. It's things are going to get weird for humans for a while. It's going to get more segmented, I'm guessing, in terms of dummies who just consume whatever and people who actually want something worthwhile but have a hard time finding it in the endless deluge of garbage that's being churned. AI is ushering in a new era of endless crap and things that don't make sense. GM, oh, serialize chitty chitty. Hugh, what's the word on Aether Drift? Drift away from real magic? Yup. Talking about speeding tickets and paparazzis and stuff. Ryan, yeah, Vin Diesel. If Vin Diesel's in there, he will be a legendary, bro. Vegas, people watch the garbage AI programs on YouTube already? Yep. And someday you guys won't even need people like me to hang out with because there will just be AI to yammer on endlessly to you in a similar fashion. You won't even be able to tell the difference. I'll be a moldy old skeleton in a box while an AI me will be pretending to be real the whole time. Go through, you're just going to skip Aether Drift unless there's cards you want. Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? I'm not looking at getting any enjoyment from the story this time around, so hopefully there'll be some enjoyable Magic cards because the gameplay is what keeps me around. You wonder if they want to make Aether Drift so silly that Universe Beyond seems equally clashing in themes. I don't think so at all. I think that they want to do full-on Universes Beyond, but they want to be like, no, we're still doing Magic the Gathering sets. So first of all, you don't think they're going all Universe Beyond. Secondly, it's way cheaper for them to make their own in-world set, right? So they're just basically trying to be like, it's all Universes Beyond, right? That's why it's a car set. That's why it's a space set. But they already know it hasn't been working out too well. And from the looks of this, I don't have high hopes for this one either. Christs, instead of the magic historian, the MAIJIC historian. My code hurts. That's it. You nailed it, buddy. I'm a wizard. I'm a glitchy wizard. Anthony, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild that they're doing this kind of crazy nonsense, bro. I agree. Werebear, you can't wait to hear about Urza getting put on a watch list for flying an ornithopter too close to an airport. He got put on the list because he refused to turn his cell phone off on a flight, right? And then they ejected him from the flight. So Nerdvana, please do an intro like that. You like that idea, huh, buddy? Yep. 2025 is the year of in-universe, universe beyonds, for sure. They are 100% trying to keep the costs down, but ultimately they have given up on their own IP ever being a thing, and they have talked about it this way with partners because the people who are in charge of making the Magic the Gathering show were like, oh, this is great because Magic's literally every genre. And you can go to any world. It can be anything. And I'm like, that is not the fucking truth at all. Well, it used to not be the truth. And now they're like, yeah, it's the truth. That's how it works. You can go anywhere. There's no servants on Kaladesh. Really? Yeah, and then her dad came in and was like, why don't you have the servants wake you up? And she's like, I don't want to have the servants wake me up because I'm better than you, Dad. Also, you're upset you have to pay the servants now. It's like, you had fucking slaves? Who had slaves on Kaladesh? Where is this coming from? No, there wasn't. Yeah, that's what you just said, Wizards. The fucking set that you sold us in like 2017 or whatever had fucking slavery in it. That's what you're telling us. No, listen. It's good. It's like, you gotta understand it's good because she doesn't like the idea of people being slaves. Her dad had some and he's upset they didn't have them no more. Okay, but that means that they were there. They were there. Or they had to be there. No, there were no slaves on Kaladesh. Well, then how did they get freed? Well, they got freed now during the revolution, right? So they existed before the revolution. Yeah. Okay, so they were on Kaladesh. No, it didn't make a set with slaves, dickhead. Yeah, what? Yeah, so they're not slaves anymore. But they weren't before too? What? What? Trap, you want to see the Glitch Wizard intro as well? So yeah, man, the story is just... It's honestly worse than I thought it was going to be. It's so silly. It's so silly. So yeah, I wonder what other elements of the story will casually add. The casual, like, oh, she's against them servants having to work for free. Really? This was a thing, though? This was a thing? Look, you're just supposed to be like, what a great girl she is, because she's against it. But her dad's like, that ain't right. That ain't right. So yeah, my plan was today when I came home from going out to the mall with Carly was to start working on the lore video. But when I read through it, I'm like, I really don't know how to turn this into anything other than like a minute and a half long video where it's just like, Chandra's ready for the race. There's a girl called Sita, and she also is getting ready for the race. The Aether Spark was made by a lady, and Winter had demons say, you better get the Aether Spark. Okay, bye! Like, it's just so sloppy. Like, how the fuck do you point out that it's easy to sneak in because there's no servants, and then have in the next paragraph conversations with servants, bro? Like, how do you do that? How the fuck do you do that as a shit writer and as like, well, I mean, Wizards isn't paying enough to care, so I get why you would turn in lazy, sloppy crap, especially since they're dictating a bunch of the elements. You're like, this is dumb. All right, whatever. Here's your story. Thanks for the money. And then Wizards goes, hey, look, words. That must be good. Okay, we'll release it. You don't want to have anybody read it? Nah. Oh, fuck it. If you're not going to read it, neither am I. Whatever. Any mention of the past winners of the race? Anything related to the race? Maybe. Maybe. Not much, really. It's like a 27-minute... If you listen to the audiobook readout of it, it takes them 27 minutes to read through the whole written thing. But there's so little actually happening. Like, so little. So little. Indeed, Hugh, it is very sloppy. So other racers die? Who knows? They didn't tell us any of that. Nirvana, 27 minutes. 27 minutes, you're saying that's it? That's the first installment of the story. 27 minutes is way too long. You want to sit there and listen to that for fucking half an hour with almost nothing happening the entire time? Can you even die, or is it just virtual? I don't know. There's like no mention of danger. There's no like, are you afraid you could die? It's just a race. Like, I know Mark Rosewater liked using things like death race. It's like, it's not though. It's not a fucking death race. There's some other guy, I guess, who... Oh, I don't even know what's going on. I don't remember. It just was so stupid when I read it. My brain half muddied it, I guess, now that I'm thinking back. And I'm like, what else was there? I am going to fucking read through it again. Because the dumb shit superseded everything else, you know? Why did Nissa or Chandra even matter at this point? We need the stories to be about somebody. Otherwise, every character is just going to be like this new character, Sita, who we're supposed to care about because she's fucking stunning and brave and powerful. And she stands up to her father because her father had slaves. And it's like, you had slaves the whole time you were growing up. Yeah, but those were my dad's slaves. And like, I don't care, and there's nothing bad about that part of it. And I don't like that my dad had them. And also, there were no slaves on Kaladesh because Wizards would never run it like that back in 2017. Okay. So it's pretty disappointing, man. As somebody who genuinely enjoys lore and stories and actively wants to participate with it, like I knew it was starting today. And I looked it up when I woke up earlier in the day and it wasn't out already. And then I went back to bed and I got up and it was out and I started to read it and I just went, oh no. Oh no. So yeah, I mean, I can either wait until more story installments are out and see if there's anything worth putting a lore video into, or I can just go back to working on my Thran lore series with the old Thran lore and just say screw it to the storyline for this. That's what I did with Thunder Junction. That Thunder Junction shit with Nashi and the tripwire lasers and all that, like high-tech key cards and stuff in Thunder Junction where everything was low-tech wooden whatever, and you just go, wait, what's going on now? I just said, I'm not doing it. And I stopped doing that lore series. This is worse. This is fucking worse. And we're just starting. We're just starting. So yeah, this year is going to be so dumb for Magic stories. The writing is so bad. Yeah, Bloomborough would have been more fun. Getting a second Bloomborough. Bloomborough was the shining star of 2024, you know? Pretty good. Pretty good overall. Most everything else was a big disappointment. Anthony, you loved the Swords and Sorcery theme Magic had? Same. Magic, unfortunately, is sacrificing its identity, and that is a tragedy, right? So I'm curious to see where the game goes from here, what happens after this year, and I'm curious just to see what's going to roll out this year, because there's a lot going on, right? That whole Chaos Vault with all the failure vaults getting rolled out, where they're like, the Chaos Vault is our place to experiment and try something fun and different. It's like, that's what secret layers are. Shut up. Also, they're all cheaper than normal and also not timely at all. Check out this Eldraine one. And it's like, so these are just here because it's fun and quirky and cool and we're trying something different. What's different about this one? Well, normally what we'll do is we'll make a secret layer, right? And we'll release it alongside the set. So it's like if Ixalan is coming, we'll make like an Ixalan secret layer and we'll release it with Ixalan. But we thought to ourselves, what if we made a set like that, but then we released it like a year and a half after the set wasn't relevant anymore? Like how avant-garde would that be? So that's why we're doing this. It's definitely not that we had no faith in the product and are now dumping it on you. It's that we've been waiting for the right moment. Like, we figure we should sell our Happy New Year's 2023 secret layers mid-2025. You feel me? Like, Master Chaos. Anything we want. Vault, garbage. Yep. Hey, yep. So, I mean, on one hand, I'm glad that these secret layers are seeing the light of day because it's more funky artwork and stuff that people can enjoy, and they might have otherwise just disappeared into wherever. But it's funny how Wizards are trying, this is awesome. Spurl, do I think they're incompetent or just lazy? I think it's I think it's incompetence a bit, mostly greed and fear. So you've got the fact that they want to make a bunch of money because they're greedy, but you also got the fact they want to make a bunch of money because Hasbro is struggling as a company. They're not doing well. Toy business is in shambles overall, right? So Hasbro needs that money and they are desperate. So it makes them push harder, not spend as much time on making quality products and just short-term cash grabs. Lewis says, get rich and stop trying. Oh, it's the dream. It's the dream. Eric, you got five different Doctor Who decks. All right. You're getting there, man. You're getting there. You need 12. You need 12 different Doctor decks. That's the requirement. Harley, that's it. They're just, if we print it, maybe we can sell it. We'll crank as many products as we can and see how much we can churn through. And they tried everything and anything they could think of up to Magic 30, which was one of the most damaging choices that they made. There's a lot of stuff where they, they didn't make a great choice, but it didn't do that much damage. Magic 30 did a ton of damage. Elmo, what do I think of the D&D in-universe straight to LGSs? I don't know. I haven't looked at all the details specifically. I like things that help out LGSs, though. So, on the surface, them giving LGSs access to more things feels like a plus in my books. But, I need to see specifics before I know. Because sometimes things that seem like initiatives to help the LGS are actually just... there was a Thunder Junction promotion that wasn't really about helping them, but they're trying to make it seem like that when it's obviously something else underneath going on. Magic 30th was a mistake and a half. Yup. Gerthul, you feel Magic 30 got everyone to actually pay attention to what Wizards is doing? Yup. Do I think the player base has any impact on Wizards doing what they're doing? Yeah, of course. I mean, overall, the player base, their buying habits and all of that, Wizards of the Coast has to take our habits into account, right? They can't just literally do whatever they want and make money. They have to make products that we as players will purchase, right? So they definitely are very much impacted by us, but they're impacted by what we do, not by what we say. Right? So if you're like, I'm going to quit forever if you do this thing, but you don't, you just keep playing and keep buying, then they're not negatively impacted. It doesn't do anything. And the message they get is keep going with it, right? So one of the sad truths about Magic is you're never going to get Magic to turn into what you want by threatening to leave. It's not going to turn into what you want that way. You can leave and go and live your life and not look at it again, and whatever happens to it, and they make changes trying to get other people, but you can't just be like, I'm leaving you. No, I'll change. It doesn't work that way. It don't work that way. Yeah, if Magic 30 had been approached differently, then it totally would have been received differently, but the absurd price tag was a massive insult to people. So, it depends on the situation. Vegas, yeah, you think people are all talk? Gamers complain. You know what though? Look at the open gaming license situation with D&D, right? They stood together and went to Wizards. So it's it's different from game to game. It's different from community to community. Some are more actually welded together, and some are they're a community in that everybody likes the same thing, but it's all individual enjoyment instead of communal enjoyment. So you definitely can still have gamer communities where they just are like, no. Wherever you think Wizards is trying to cater towards rip and ship types, well, I mean, there's some of that, right? There's definitely some of that. But yeah, D&D and Magic are two different beasts, right? You play D&D specifically in a group of friends and one person missing is a big impact on it. With Magic, it's like one person can't come out and play Magic. That doesn't stop the rest of you from playing. So, yeah, man, it's interesting. It's interesting to watch the way this all unfolds, and I do not have high hopes for Magic lore going forwards at all. I think that Wizards of the Coast's higher ups are going to look at the way things have gone for this. Like, I think the way things are going to go this year is sets like Aether Drift are not going to do very well, and sets like Final Fantasy and Spider-Man are going to do well, and Avatar and all that. And they're going to look at it and go, well, we're going to do more of that and more of that and less of our own sets, which means less and less storytelling is actually required. Why are we wasting our time on this? Like, I was talking about that with Carly when it comes to making lore videos for Fantasy Geographic. We're doing a Spider-Man set. And she's like, well, you could do Spider-Man lore. And I said, there's no fucking point. There's no point in making like a Magic the Gathering Spider-Man lore video. It's an irrelevant concept where Magic's already niche. So you're already making videos for niche stuff. And now you're going to drill down into Magic the Gathering lore, which is more niche. And now you're going to drill down into people who are interested in like Spider-Man lore and Magic the Gathering. Like if you want Spider-Man lore, there's tons of channels out there with that kind of stuff. So it's already out there and done better, because it's not like I'm going to gain the level of knowledge needed to do a really good job with that random Spider-Man one-off video. You know, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Daniel, would I rather have where people aren't buying product or have product be unavailable for everyday people? Because a Pokemon set's impossible to get right now? Well, I mean, if nobody's buying a product, the game's dead. So you obviously don't want that. Having everything sold out it's a double-edged sword. It's good because it shows demand is high, but it sucks when you can't get what you want. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, but one of them is just the death of a game. So it seems pretty like the choice is pretty obvious. Yeah, exactly, Eric, exactly. I wouldn't expect anybody to come to me for Spider-Man lore. I don't give a shit about Spider-Man. I never thought Spider-Man was a cool fucking superhero. I thought Spider-Man was one of the fucking lamest superheroes, right? I was like, Spider-Man is like fucking boring. Yeah, he's got power, he's got spider sense, he's got his web sling, whatever, but he's fucking dull. It's just dull. The shit that he gets up to is just boring. Nothing ever felt compelling. Spider-Man never like really pulled me in ever. So comic books and stuff are like whatever. I'm lore video about it. I don't give a fuck about Peter Parker. You know? I'm indifferent. I don't care. I'm not like Spider-Man sucks and is the worst. I'm just like Spider-Man's just I don't give a fuck about him. You know? I'm not saying all these other superheroes are way better than Spider-Man. I'm saying Spider-Man ain't shit to me. That's the deal. So yeah, if I was done making Magic lore videos, then it wouldn't be comic book lore videos and stuff. It would probably be like Dungeons and Dragons monster videos and stuff like that, talking about beholders and things. That kind of stuff always seemed like it'd be fun. Spurl, what's my ranking of superheroes? I don't even fucking know. I'd have to sit down and really think about it. I've never been like a huge superhero guy. That's it, Uber. Who needs to worry about lore when they can use established IPs? Ape, I like Mary Jane, so there's that. Ooh. Ooh. Shit, Eric, bro, I'd stay off of YouTube if what I said about Spider-Man right there is you feeling like he's being dumped on, bro. That's fucking nothing. You want to hear Spider-Man get dumped on? His fucking costume is fucking stupid. He's got these amazing powers and could be doing so much more, but he's just fucking futzing about doing nothing. He's not a compelling character. He's not fucking interesting. Nothing he does fucking really feels like it matters, and yet he's always fucking stopping criminals. I don't know. He's just thumbs down to Spider-Man, all right? Spider-Man likes to fucking hang upside down so he can sniff people's feet. Oh. Spider-Man's just middle of the road. That's it. He's just middle of the road. Honestly, I couldn't say that I hate Spider-Man because there's nothing to really hate. He's there. He exists. Whatever. You know? He's like oatmeal. that's it. He's like oatmeal. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I didn't find like Superman exciting either because it's all the same, like, oh, I'm a good guy. I'm going to do what's right. Okay, cool. Also, I'm unstoppable. Okay, cool. And then they came up with kryptonite. Okay, you can kind of stop them sometimes with it. Okay, so you got kryptonite, maybe you can stop them. Okay. But it just feels very black and white with the choices. And Peter Parker never felt like he had any kind of compelling depth to his character to me, right? And so I never looked any deeper. And I'm sure people who've read shitloads of comics and stuff will be like, well, if you saw this and whatever. Well, I haven't. So that's just where I'm at. You know what I mean? I just never got pulled into it. There was some comic stuff like that I thought was cool here and there. But ultimately, Spider-Man wasn't it. Mysterio has a fishbowl for head. Mountain Jam, 25 years ago, Carnage was scary. Now they recycled the symbiotes to death. I never read like a ton of comics. I picked up a few here or there. I got into a couple of different comic series like back in the 90s. But, you know, there's definitely some fun concepts in some of the more out there ones, but a lot of them just mostly leave me going, okay, that's all right. But I don't feel like I find a lot of, it's really cool moments. So, but obviously things like Spider-Man and Superman have resonated with people for however long. The characters are enduring and iconic, and I can't dispute that. You know, there's certain things you can look at and go, there's nothing of merit here. And I can see there's some merit there, but it just never did anything for me. Is Spider-Man a Mary Sue? Well, I mean, Mary Sues are just like super overpowered, don't earn what they have. So no, Peter Parker is like, he gets like bit by a radioactive spider randomly and then develops his own gear to go with it and goes out of his way to learn to fight crime. But he fails. He struggles. He's not a perfect person. He honestly just comes across as a random person. He doesn't seem like he's not like the biggest, buffest, smartest, fastest, bestest. Do you know what I mean? Like, he gets all the girls. He wins all the races at school. Like, as a person, he is an everyday dude who gets powers and decides that he wants to fucking help society with it. So, I mean, it's a regular guy with an admirable goal. Just ultimately, from an entertainment perspective, it doesn't do anything for me, you know? There's tons of people who like it. I've watched Spider-Man movies with Carly, and meh, I enjoyed the one Spider-Man they had in the Infinity War Endgame stuff. He was fun. But I didn't watch his movies, you know, like any of it really. Mamas, you think Superman's approachable for kids? Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What up, Thompson? Jess, Spider-Man enticed you because he came so close to losing so often, then you had to quit reading because he'd never really lose? Well, I mean, what you're saying makes sense. You want to feel like there's an actual, like, something to overcome. You have to defeat the villains, not just be like, I am guaranteed the win. I'm not defeating you. This is just inevitability. If you know what I mean, right? Superman, when there's not kryptonite involved, it's an inevitability. Spider-Man, even though he does have enhanced senses, increased strength, like he's definitely got advantages, but he can easily be taken down. One stray bullet can end Parker, right? So he's always vulnerable, always, which is more compelling. Spider-Man is more compelling than Superman from that perspective, right? Jess, you want to be Spider-Man? Well, it makes sense. I mean, he's got powers. Be fun slinging along on your webs. Well, Brian, we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see if they're going to go for something as simple as Spider-Man is red and blue, so his color activated ability to be red and blue. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me looking at Captain America. So, yeah. Spider-Man definitely is not a Mary Sue. Bren, I think it's the category of more didn't really try than anything else. Every Spider-Man is a fucked up origin story. You wouldn't want to be Spider-Man. Getting to live like a normal everyday life is more of a blessing than people recognize, you know? Nerdvana, any speculation on what we might get in the Tarkir set? Okay. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say dragons. That's my prediction. So yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what's going to sell better, Spider-Man or Final Fantasy. It'll be interesting to see. But it's boring. It's boring when you know that a character can't lose. It's boring when you know they're going to win every time. It's but the boringness that comes along with knowing they're going to win every time can be mitigated by making what they're winning interesting, the way they win unique and interesting, and sprinkling in some sacrifice for that win, right? Elmo, you think Final Fantasy is going to crush Spider-Man? There's potential. There's potential for that. Marvel has a ton more boring superheroes than Spider-Man. Yep. Spider-Man is not the most boring superhero out there. He's just in the middle. He's just an in the middle superhero. Man, God, Aether Drift story starts out so terribly. It starts out terribly. Oh. Oh, so I finished off like all the shows we were watching, including the really underwhelming season 4 of The Boys. And now I am on the hunt for my next enjoyable show. The West Wing ended up pulling me and Carly in both way more than we expected, and I enjoyed it. And it was nice to have a reliable ongoing show we were watching when it's like something to pop on while we're eating a meal, that kind of thing. And now I am bereft once again. Serialized Spider-Man characters cards signed by comic artists. Yeah, that's a good idea. That would definitely be an extra layer of appeal. Anthony, yup, The Boys was indeed a disappointment. It went from season 1, where I would literally put other things off to be able to watch another episode. I'm like, I have to see more of this, into just whatever. It's like, okay, this show exists, and they're making really weird choices, and it was compelling before, but now it feels meandering, like the show doesn't even know what it wants to be doing 100%. And you're just like, you were doing better when you were mostly doing what the comic books did, but now you're all on your own and you're really just glumping it around. Habanero, you don't care about Marvel, but today you stumbled on some hilarious fan edits of Moon Knight comics where they made him a drunk asshole. It reminded you of the G.I. Joe edits. Nice. I like those G.I. Joe edits. Pork chop sandwiches. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Eric, Alice in Borderland. I've seen that, actually. I've seen that one already. Larry, you think Final Fantasy outsells Spider-Man? Well, you know what? I'm gonna make that. I brought that up, and there's enough interest in it. We'll make that into a stream title. Body massage. Hey kid, hey kids, I'm a computer. Oh, I like those little G.I. Joe clips, man. They're amusing. Ugh, they're amusing. Damn. Oh. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be a really, really rough year for Magic the Gathering lore. Rowdy, you just wanted to comment and say you hope I'm having a good night. Well, thanks, buddy. I hope you're having a good night, too. Nerdvana. No, I have not heard of Ted Lasso. Is that a country show? Spro, what do I think will happen next in the story? I have no fucking idea. Because it's incoherent nonsense. Like, I could make predictions when things were logical and not brain damaged, but I have none. I have no fucking predictions. Like, none. I have no predictions for this fucking race car stupid Magic set of dumb fuckery. It's just going to be idiotic nonsense after idiotic nonsense. Oh, fuck, another lawyer. That's funny. Mailmaster, it's hard for you to find new TV. You hate everyone and think everything is stupid. Oh, bro. I 100% understand that. I feel like sometimes, why does everything just seem so lame and awful? Why is it hard to find something? Why is it hard to find something I like? Elvitar, What We Do in the Shadows is good and is still running. I've only seen the movies. Also, do you use that name on Arena? Because if you do, we played on Arena. We played a game of Magic. Just the way things are going, you could work for Wizards and it would improve a little. Anthony, the prediction is there'll be no story. I mean, that's the fear. That's the fear for next year. It's worth a watch. It's a great show about an American soccer coach across the pond coaching football. Ah, okay. All right. Random cooking shows. Cooking shows can be fun depending on what they've got going on. Like Cutthroat Kitchen, I found to be a very enjoyable concept where you've got the sabotages and you've got to balance like how much money you're actually going to spend trying to sabotage people. And then you'll watch people sabotage the hell out of other people to win. And they don't like think about how much they're going to walk away with. So they spend all their money on sabotages, which comes out of their prize money. So at the end of the show, I won. It's like I won $400. And then there's other people who don't spend any money sabotaging anybody else, and other people sabotage them, and they shrug the sabotages off like it's nothing, and then win the whole thing and keep all the money. And you're like, oh, like a boss. Ilvitar, oh, okay. All right, never mind, Hank. That's just after Wizard's third consecutive Sasquatch theme set, Jess was finally let go. And then Wizards of the Coast exploded in a giant chi blast. Man. How long until we have a magic cooking set? I don't know. See if Delicious in Dungeons does well enough. Eric, yeah, you like Cutthroat Kitchen? Me and Carly would play it and we would bet. We would bet nickels and dimes on who we thought was going to win. We'd each pick two of the contestants who we thought would win. And she kept beating me. She kept picking the winners. Mailmaster, oh, that's right. There's already a chef in Magic too. That's true. There's multiple actually. Shane, you want to set around Asmore and Nora Rama Lama Ding Dong and her antics? That was a fun story. That old story that was originally about her in the old novel. The author of that story contacted me out of the blue because somebody she worked with knew me, maybe her agent or something like that. I don't remember exactly how it went, but basically the lady who wrote about that character in the story contacted me out of nowhere, which was pretty funky. Take a cooking show and mix with an action show. Joglin, there's like the cooking battle show called Food Wars. Brian Pusher, you stopped playing Magic back when Legends was released in 94-95. Tried to pick it up again when Theros was released, but I had no idea what the story is about. Do I have any recommendations where you should start if you want to learn the lore? Well, there's a number of different places. Aether Hub has a ton of lore videos kicking around. I have a Magic lore channel that has about 150 Magic lore videos. So this is a link to the most recent one, but you can see the rest on that channel as well. They have if you go to the main Magic website, they have the story area there where you can read a bunch of the old story stuff, and some of the newer stuff has audiobook versions. So yeah, off the top of my head. And also you can also go to the Vorthos Magic Reddit where they have like pinned posts that will tell you if you want to read the books in this order, and they'll also suggest some other channels that you can find some lore on as well. Peace out, Vegas. It ain't your fault. It ain't your fault that the Aether Drift story is awful. It's fine. It just means instead of working on lore videos for that, we'll end up talking about it in live streams where I talk about how awful it is, right? Juggling, you've seen Food Wars. I liked it. And it actually had some genuine food cooking advice that Carly learned from it, like using pineapple to tenderize meat and stuff. It's funny how you can just pick up random bits of information like that unexpectedly. Little bits of knowledge that actually turn out to be real and just not made up for the show. It's like, oh, that's cool. There's lots of tricks when it comes to cooking. So we watched a whole bunch of that. That show is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Oh, man. Ugh. I guess it's a good time to catch up on old magic lore because there ain't any good new magic lore worth paying attention to, right? Oh, well. Oh, well. Anyways, thanks for coming and hanging out, my friends. I will get back again with you soon, but for now, I depart into the mists of time. So, farewell.